workshop. Now, without any further delay, I would like to introduce our wonderful speaker, Mira Koponarov. Mira is a marketing and digital innovation entrepreneur. She has an extensive business experience with a focus on strategy, marketing, branding, and communications. In addition to winning multiple marketing awards, industry and government grants recognition, she has worked with various business enterprises in the area of broadcasting, real estate, startups, and advertising in the last 15 years. Mira, it is a pleasure to have you here to facilitate this workshop, and I welcome you to begin the session.
Thank you so much, Alina. Hi, everyone. I was hoping to shake off the day a little bit. I'm sure it was a long day. Branding is very interactive, so I'll really hope that if you can turn on your camera, it would be awesome so we can have an interactive session. And I was hoping if you have a name for your business, if you can add it to your name as well. I think it will be helpful if I see your names and we associate the brands. We need to start putting the brands out there. So my day was wild and long, so we're going to try to make this as interactive as possible. And the three main things I was hoping for you to walk away with today are a little bit of inspiration. We're hoping to start cranking these creative juices and get your brand strategies going. I'm going to share some practical tools that we use in our company and tools that I have used in the past 17 years and have proven to be successful for clients that implement them. So I hope that'll be very helpful for you. And third and not last is really to expand your awareness and understanding of what branding and marketing really does in a business structure. Okay. So I hope everybody sees my screen. It's moving well. Okay. So I'm going to start with the why. And today we're going to talk about why we should always start with the why. Mostly because a lot of the creative brands and the charismatic brands, as we're going to call them a little later, always start with a story. And that story really builds the trust. So the reason why I do marketing and communications and branding is because it really allows me to touch people's lives, especially through the years. I realize how the efforts that we put in actually leave a footprint, and it's important what kind of footprint we leave. About me, I've started my career in advertising agencies. Lucky for me, at the age of 18, I work with clients such as Nestle, Heineken, Visa, and Amex. And then I moved on the client side. So I have a full 360 view of what really marketing is when it comes to businesses and building brands from the ground up and also maintaining them. 4 years ago, I opened my own agency, and ever since, it's been a beautiful journey helping a lot of companies like yours to build their brands from scratch, to revamp them. So great journey. We work with real estate, nonprofit, startups, and emerging technology. So I do speak your language in full respect, and I understand your pains. So the way I was hoping to do today is really, I'll give you a shortcut. How, if you don't have the means and you don't have the resources right now to invest quite a lot in your branding, I'm going to give you a shortcut that will allow you to at least be on that path and have something solid in terms of branding and marketing and strategies. Okay, but before we do that, it would be my pleasure to learn a little bit about you. So Alina will help me just run a very quick poll to tell us how old is your brand, just to get an idea how the narrative should go. So have you hit toddler age? Are you under 2? Have you graduated? Awesome. So we see most of the results. Lovely. Okay. Interesting. Wow, very inspiring. We should have a little bit of fun today, I think, with your brands. Considering, so we have 93% of you, if it's okay, I'll share the results. 93% of you are under the age of 2. So how exciting. We actually get to build your brand from scratch today. We're going to get the creative juices going. Amazing. Thank you, Alina. And we're seeing a very good mix, I guess. Some of you, 13% have product, 60% offer service, and 27% offer both. So very healthy mix. Okay, so let's jump right into it. My computer. Okay, I'm gonna start with a quote. I was really thinking how to present to you guys branding. I was telling Alina I went to a math school, high school, and I had this incredible math teacher who knew everything about math, but he really sucked in explaining. So I hope I'm very passionate about branding. So hopefully we manage to get the story across and something sticks. Uh, so Joe Gilby, without further ado, is one of the most prominent names in advertising and marketing. He was part of a very influential group in an Esalen Institute, where a lot of thinkers, psychologists, academics have formed the way we do marketing, communication strategies, and branding nowadays. So what he said is that people have personalities, brands have personalities. Both for brands and for people, we need good maps for charting their highways and byways. And what that truly means is that we really need to look into the psychology of marketing. Like there's a lot of research. It's very overwhelming, especially as a founder, to start thinking about how to build my brand, what kind of channels should I use, what is marketing strategy, what about communication strategies, content creation. There's so many terms that you may not even be familiar with. So the the most important thing today is to focus on who are the personalities of the founder, being you. What is the personality of the brand that you want to show to the public, and what is the personality of your customers, and how do we find maps and ways of communicating all of this in a cohesive and successful way. So I thought it would be very helpful to actually go over what branding is not. So these are misconceptions that we see on a day-to-day basis, and it's not bad or negative in any way, but it allows you to gain a little bit of perspective. So even when you're hiring an agency down the road, you know what to ask for, you know what's included in a package. So obviously everybody knows what a logo is. Everybody has these distinct fonts that we use for our brands, but they're not your brand. These are simply symbols of our brands. They're kind of an extension how we explain our brands to the public. Believe it or not, brand is also not what you say it is. It's usually what the customers say it is. So in a way, we have all these great ideas. We're gonna sell these hats, and we have the best suppliers, and we have all the colors and all the fonts, and we send it to we send the messaging to the people, and people have a completely different idea about our hats because they twist it through their own perception. So in a way, we're creating thousands and millions of brands every time when we send a message and we communicate with a customer. It's also the understanding that when there's a connection with a brand, trust is the most important thing, and trust is established by emotions. So again, psychology is huge for building trust and for establishing positive emotions. We obviously want only positive emotions associated with your brands. So the one thing you can take away today is brand is really that gut feeling. When you see Nike's little swoosh or their logo or logo type, we don't necessarily immediately associate with the feelings, but when we start seeing the images, when we start seeing their campaigns, they're empowering, they're rebels, they're trustworthy, they open possibilities and push boundaries that other brands don't. This is when the gut feeling starts working. Same with the word. Oh, I can never say that. Sorry. World Wildlife Foundation. Believe it or not, they actually had to fight for the logo because I think the Wrestling Foundation also had that. So again, we see the logo, but we don't necessarily immediately have the cute fuzzy feeling in our stomach. But then we see all the images and all the symbols associated with it, like this tigress and the three cubs that are endangered species, and you start having this soft feeling in your stomach. That is when the brand connection is established. All righty. As you will see, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so I always try to put in some reference here. So just to understand where marketing stands in terms of branding, marketing is that overarching aspect of what we do in business and includes everything. It includes your brand, it includes all the tools and communications, it includes PR, it includes events, everything. Marketing is the mother of branding. And I really like, there's a very famous copywriter, I put the quote here, who says, when people talk to themselves, it's called insanity. When companies talk to themselves, it's called marketing. So there's nothing for you really to grasp here. Like marketing is, again, the overarching web of communications, aesthetics, and symbols. The most important thing, the way I can explain it, is branding is the consciousness of your brand, the consciousness of your business, and marketing helps facilitate that. Okay, so the first practical tool for today is the 3 F's of branding, as I call them, is really focus. And I know this is very hard to do, especially when you're a founder and you're starting a new business. And we have all these ideas. We don't want to miss opportunities. So quite often, what we all do, I did it too when I opened my own business. We cast a very large net in hopes to capture a lot of leads and bring a lot of business. But what often happens is we put a lot of effort into a very wide area, and sometimes they're wasted. So rest assured, the danger is rarely too much focus. So I really encourage you, as we go through today, to start thinking, what can I focus on? Who is my ideal customer? Can I narrow that down a little more? What is my service offering? Am I really offering all these things? And do I have the capacity to market all of these things? So what is really my strength? So every time when you're stuck on something, I always say, if you're stuck on something for more than 10 minutes, start taking off things the list. So same with focusing on your brand, on your business, on your customers, on your strategies. If you're stuck somewhere and you're not having a good gut feeling, my recommendation is to narrow your focus. Don't be afraid of missed opportunities or like you're going to miss profit or deals, because most likely what you're doing, you're wasting resources on trying to capture too many things. The other thing I would say, and we have that saying, I'm originally from Bulgaria, it's always better to be first in a small niche than being, for example, a runner-up to Coca-Cola. So imagine if you're competing in a large market where you already have Coca-Cola and Pepsi, and you're really trying to be that number 3 brand, your chances are not very good. But if you narrow your niche market, and you have very good chances of being number 1. Great example of that is Volvo. So I'm sure you all have heard of the car manufacturer Volvo. In general, they're not much different than anybody else, but they're famous with one thing. I wonder if you can type in the chat. Do you know what Volvo is famous for? We'll try to get you a little interactive. Volvo branded themselves specifically as a particular type of car dealer. Yes, yes. Safety. Slavomir, thank you. So yeah, durable, yeah. They that was a very smart acting on their end. They couldn't differentiate in any other aspect, so they turned their heavy duty automobile in a safety feature. So they immediately branded towards families, and they narrowed down their focus, and pretty much the whole marketing strategy and communication strategy came from that. All righty. So this is where we actually go into the practical stuff. So I was hoping what we can do today is to actually get you starting on your branding, because it's great when we listen to these classes. It's great when somebody comes and gives us a fresh perspective, but I think the best part is when you walk away with practical stuff. So I do in our agency, we do marketing a little differently. We aspire to create charismatic brands, and we want to leave a legacy of results. So there are quite a few academics that follow this structure, and it has also proven to create unforgettable brands. So these are brands such as Apple, Google, Facebook. And usually what happens is when you answer these 3 questions that I've put on the screen, you start building your communication strategy. So starting with a why immediately puts us in a position where we talk about the motivation of a brand. It's harder to explain than what, hence a lot of people don't like to start with the why because they don't want to do the hard work. But if you're open to it, today we would like to break you out in a few groups. I'm going to be popping in and out of the groups to help you start crafting that marketing strategy and building your brand. So why, as I said, related to motivation, it requires a story. So you need to start thinking, what is my why? Why am I doing what am I doing? Why do I want this business to succeed? Then we're going to move into, if you have time and you have the energy and you have the motivation, we can jump into the what is more factual, and you can speak about the features. Never speak about any financial gains or profits. Customers obviously will not support brands so companies can make money, so we never speak about that in your communication strategies. And then we can focus on the how are you doing, what are you doing. So the beauty of this practical tool that I've pasted here today, and I thought it would be very helpful, especially for new entrepreneurs. If you answer these questions, you can build all of your communications from that. So just imagine this is kind of like the seed, and it keeps expanding. You can take a story and put it on your website. You can use that for your social media. You can use that story for all of your newsletters, for any type of press releases. So I really encourage you to put effort into answering the questions. Uh, so, Alina, maybe you can help us divide the room in.
Perfect.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, I apologize. I couldn't jump in all the rooms. I'm very excited. There was quite a few discussions going on. And I know there's a lot of problems, guys. I understand. Like marketing is super, could be very annoying and overwhelming. And at the same time, we all need it. It's like this beautiful relationship. I'm happy, just to tell you, I'm happy to answer questions. My email will be available. Obviously, I can build campaigns in a email exchange, but I'm happy to provide you with answers and insights that I know are successful. The most important thing to understand is that we cannot be engaging and compelling to our customers if our story is not aligned. If we're just talking fluff and we're just giving people like a very big fairy tale unicorn story about our brand, there's nothing for them to catch. There's nothing to land in their mind or in their heart. So it's very important to narrow down your story. That's why I focus on these three questions. I could have gone wild. My whole bookcase is filled with marketing textbooks, and I could have given you all the strategies and the formulas, but I think they're overwhelming and they're not applicable in your case. So I really encourage you to work on your story. I want to see if there's a volunteer who wants to share their why. Do you want to do a little pitch of your business and help us understand and build trust? Penny? Penny, you unmute.
How's that?
Yes, perfect.
Good. I'm just learning this. So in even though I've been with computers since about 1981 or 2, I still am not an expert. I can teach with them. I can have amazing results from the children I teach, but I still don't know what I'm doing with every new computer I get and where everything has changed. And my reason, I think, for my software being brought out by the Ontario Ministry of Education in 1988, it was sent to all the schools in the province. The teachers who got those, the computers, had never had them before in their classrooms at that time. They had never, I was actually funded to travel around the province to a lot of different boards of education here around Toronto and Western Ontario and way up in the north. But everybody was new to computers at that time. And I was teaching ESL. I had taught in the elementary school and then moved to the secondary schools. And eventually, while I was still in the secondary schools, I was teaching at the University of Toronto and at OISE and different places. and doing international workshops. But nobody who attended my workshops in those days had computers. They were language teachers, or they were English teachers, or they were in some other subject matter, but they weren't in computer science. They weren't in mathematics. And so it was not just a matter of getting them close to a computer, but there was a whole other pedagogy that went with that to teaching. At that time, I was really, really engaged in ESL, and I had students from all over the world. So, and that went on for more than 20 years. But I also ended up linking with York University and Queen's and what do you call it? Ottawa. Oh my goodness, too many. I'm
That's
77
it's a good
now, and
problem to have, Penny. Too many.
I don't mind saying I'm so old, but COVID really brought me down low. I didn't get sick at all, but I was at home all by myself with my husband, and we didn't go out much because we didn't want to get sick. And so I just started doing this again. I thought, I'm going to start this project again. And I paid self-funded myself to get a demo, which I have, and I can show people. But I didn't get out to do the kind of demonstrations that I did either when the Ministry of Education was funding me, or about in 1991, IBM helped me, and I licensed them to sell the product from Vancouver to the rest of Canada. We had a French version of it too. And so a lot of people in Quebec were buying it, and Eastern Canada. And it was great fun. And I met so many people. I learned so much.
Amazing. That's amazing, Penny. Thank you for sharing. Like you have
Well,
a noble cause. So you're
But-
starting, you have a noble cause, you have history, you have the what and the how. It's just a matter of paring it down to a singular story and pushing forward with it.
I would like to help the newcomers to Canada right now. And I've gotten a little bit of a connection with the government, but not enough to, I need more. I need a better channel. I've got, just last week, I hired 5 people to help me. But we are just getting through the logistics of that now. And I'm still, it's nothing like what happened when I got the support with the Ontario government.
Yeah. Well, we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And you can always shoot me an email if you have any questions. If you don't mind, I'm just going to jump to Sarah. I want to make sure
Sarah,
that if,
go ahead.
yeah,
Yes. Thank you.
yes. Thank you so
Yes.
much for sharing, Penny.
Thank you for listening.
Sarah, do you want to share your why?
Sian, is it? Sian?
Yes. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi, sorry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh,
I do have a little. Yeah, so I do have a little bit of a brief kind of like. So I'm just gonna walk through it. Give me any feedback. So my name is Sarah. I'm the founder of Gabby's. We are located in Toronto. Gabby's is a Haitian cuisine specialty food establishment with a mission to share the heritage of Haiti with the world. We are introducing our Haitian patties line of flaky, wholesome, layered puff pastries filled with our delicious Creole flavors of fish, meat, and veggies that will impress your guests. To some, the patties will be a new taste experience to enjoy, and to many, the flavors will take them on a trip down memory lane. Haitian cuisine has a strong history with recipes that have been passed down for generations to enjoy for over 200 years. Gabby's and I want the dishes we create to change perception about Haitian culture and food. That's it.
Beautiful, Sarah. You had your press release done. uh,
Oh, wow.
I think it started very well, especially we have a noble cause. So when you start with a noble cause, it's always a win, because it immediately goes to a part of the brain that, as I said, establishes trust, and it opens up the emotions. Like, we are now open to communicate, right? When we know that the opposing side is actually somebody who cares about a cause that, for example, we care about. My only comment will be, Sarah, is like, people have a very short attention span. I'm guilty of that too. When I start writing and I'm passionate about it, I just like go on and on and on and on. Focus it a little bit more. So there were a few facts that are awesome, but they're, for example, more for your website or for your service offering or for about us. They would not be in your storyline or your pitch or your press release per se, or especially when you're talking, right? If you're trying to capture the attention by talking to somebody, it should be a little shorter, but beautiful work, Sarah.
Okay, I want to ask, should I kind of like focus it more on, let's say, in the beginning, say about telling about, let's say, the cuisine, like sharing the heritage of Haiti, and then kind of like keep it short like that, or?
I think you started very well. I think
Mhm.
towards the end, you really wanted to add more and more to explain how great the brand is. This is where I'll shorten a little bit more. You started very strong, I think.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat just in case.
Put it in
We
the
want to
chat,
have
or send me a
whatever.
quick email. You have my email at the end of the presentation. I'm happy to
All
place
right,
a little bit on the content. Anybody else that feels brave
sounds good.
enough?
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome, Sarah. Nobody's brave today. You guys have to put yourself out there. This is what branding is about.
I
I would like to, if I could, if I may.
Yes, please.
Yes. So my name is Faith Reeves, and my brand is Messiah's Professional Business Center. It's a place where people connect and make things happen. It's a co-shared space. So we welcome everyone into the community who have a business idea, who want to grow their business while networking with others. It's a community that offers over 10,000 square feet of beautiful space, a relaxing atmosphere for your business to grow, for you to connect with like-minded people. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith. We for sure should check your space. Only comment, sorry, I didn't retain all of it. My only comment is when you start where you said where people, and can you repeat the beginning?
Where people connect and make great things happen.
Connect and make great things happen. So very general. That's my comment. I get what you're trying to say, but how is this differentiating you from any other space, right? Why are you doing it? What is the real reason that you want to foster an environment where people make things happen and where they connect in a different way? Does that make sense? Just focusing it a bit more and sharing of the why of your motivation, or the motivation for people to be part of your space.
Yes, got it.
Okay.
It's a unique space, and it offers that comforting atmosphere for them to connect. They're not pressured. It's a relaxed atmosphere.
Yeah, you can definitely focus on the atmosphere and the benefits that it provides. Why is it so special, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else before we jump into?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm not quite sure about this branding. I'm just trying to understand about branding now. I just recently prepared something for the Instagram. So when I prepare a reel, so I'm just going to read that out, and you can tell me what you think. Basically, I'm a holistic practitioner, and in the recent a couple of years during lockdown, I've been helping people more in the emotional health rather than the physical health because I do Reiki reflexology. So I've been doing called healing journey. So when I post on Instagram now, I put the healing journey. It's about emotional and spiritual healing, alleviate trauma, build healthy boundaries with and self-confidence. And then I put begin your journey now, call me at my information.
So in this particular case, you're just talking about one social
Yes.
post, right?
Yeah.
So what I suggest is, again, write your story first. And I did see a message in the chat that asks for the perfect examples. I'm happy to send you guys, and I'll send it to Alina. I'll find a perfect example with a brand that you all recognize and that is relatable and hopefully will be applicable for all of you because you come from diverse backgrounds. So if
Yeah.
be
I guess
recognizable.
I'm struggling with to understand how to put that together.
Yeah, that's why it's hard. That's why that's why we study it and we have to practice this. But the most important thing about these three questions is that it starts the creativity, it starts the brainstorming process going. So I don't expect any of you, believe me, a lot of brands that we work with that have been in business for over 20 years, they cannot even pinpoint the answers of this because you really need to sit down and think about it. You need to look at the competition. I highly encourage you, if there's competition in your area and they're successful, see what kind of messages they're using. How are they answering these questions? This will be a good start for you to go. Sorry, that didn't answer your question, Jacinda, probably, but my
I hear this all the time, branding, branding, branding. And then even I'm a participant of YSpace.
So branding,
And-
guys, imagine it's going to be a little more clear when we move forward. Branding is this intangible being that is your
Yes.
brand. Consider it as the avatar of your business. And this avatar needs to speak in a particular way, has to look in a particular way, and to evoke emotions, right? The same
Yeah.
way, like I'm dressed in orange. Orange is my favorite color. It's all over my company. It evokes specific emotions. If you see me a couple of times, you'll start associating me with orange as all my friends. So these are things that work on an unconscious level. And then you start getting the impressions, then the impressions grow because you start attracting more and more people that resonate with your brand.
Because this morning only I was told with my mentor through YSpace, he said, Jacinta, you are your own brand. So start creating videos and talk to people and then go, oh my God.
Nobody likes that. But in your case, especially when you're in the services and health and wellness, and when you do such an intimate work with people, you are your brand, Jacinda. So sorry. Tough luck. But this is easier. This is actually easier for you. You just need to overcome that fear and push a little bit the boundaries.
Put my face in front of people.
Yes. Or you can create an avatar. People, it doesn't necessarily need to be you, but you can create something that people will identify with you. That's the whole point. Okay, if there's no more questions, I think if you guys don't mind.
Sorry, Mira, you are on mute. I think you muted yourself.
Sorry. I was just saying that I'll continue with the presentation if that's okay with everybody. I don't think any questions we've missed, Alina. I think we're good.
We're good. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Great brand example, guys, is our favorite boy, Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds, if you want to go learn marketing and branding, he is the best. He is a beautiful example how he pushed his personal brand, and from it, he starts growing all these other companies like Mint Mobile, the best marketing and advertising. They very clearly identify the why, what, and how. So if you watch a few of the videos of Mint Mobile, follow him on social media, he's a great example. Okay. And as I promised, I'll send 3 perfect answers to the questions. So this was the slide I think most of you might be interested in, because these are the ingredients. So there are 5 practical aspects that have been noted in most of the legacy brands. So they're called charismatic brands, legacy brands, famous, legendary, whatever you want to call it. The reason why we call them charismatic brands, because they almost have this godlike status. Like nobody can touch them. And from an academic point of view, they say that people or customers cannot imagine the world without this product or service. Like just for a moment, can we imagine the world without Google Maps? I think we all gonna be like absolutely frazzled. Or the search engine, like the whole aspect of Google being so incorporated in our lives. Same with Apple, right? Some people are so devoted to the brand, they can't imagine a world without it. So five key aspects: differentiate, collaborate, innovate, validate, and cultivate. And I know they sound very self-explanatory and they may mean nothing to you, but the main point here again is the psychology behind building your brand. So differentiate, for example, for me is one of the most important aspects of your brand. As I said, beautiful words are all great, but if they don't pinpoint the customer to an exact differentiation between you and brand B, and brand B has identified they're offering a little better than you, you will lose the online battle for impressions and for just capturing engagement. It's just how our brain works. Our brain works by identifying differences. So always think of that. Compare yourself to the competition. I've always encouraged brands or companies when they come to us. The first question I ask, who is your competitors? Do you know, how well do you know your competitors? What is the messages? What are the images that they're using? It's a great start for you to start doing the creative brainstorm as well. Collaborate. Great example of collaboration that I was thinking, how can I explain that? It's not just adding obviously 1 + 1 and then we get 2 and yay, we have 2 partners. Is thinking beyond that. Great example is Hollywood. So we all know the brand of Hollywood, and the idea about Hollywood, they originally had everything under one brand and they were controlling all the directors and the actors, and it became too big to control. So what they did, they decentralized. So now they have the studios, they have the producers, they have all of the other components to Hollywood, but everybody feeds into the brand of Hollywood. So they've managed through collaboration to build a solid brand, solid and charismatic brand. It's one of those brands that will be with us forever. The next one is innovation. Innovation is probably one of the most overused words, especially in the startup and technology sector. Innovation and creativity, my favorite words. But the true meaning of innovation is if you're afraid or you have fear about a particular aspect of your business or a particular messaging, you're on the right path. And I know that's counterintuitive, but that means you've hit a point where you're no longer comfortable. That means that probably other people are not comfortable too, so you're onto something. Validation. So when you're building your brand, it's very important to have a feedback loop. So without dating myself, I'm a communications major from York. So Harold Innis and Marshall McLuhan were really our stars. And the old-fashioned model of communication, as you know, was we have a sender, we have a message that's communicated, and we have a receiver. We live in a world where there's all kinds of feedback loops. You can get validation from your customers in various ways, being through social media, reading reviews of similar products. So let's say you're a brand new brand. Obviously, you may not have a lot of followers. That's been pointed as a massive challenge, growing your organic followership. I would encourage you to go and see similar brands or services and see what customers are saying, see how they're interacting with these brands, and write it down. Because if those are your customers or your desired potential customers, you can get feedback from interactions they've already established with other brands. It's very hard as an entrepreneur without the budget and without the experience in marketing to start building that understanding of the customer. So expand. Go look for information somewhere else. Be creative. Ask other entrepreneurs how they're doing it. And most importantly is the last one, which is cultivate. cultivate really speaks about all of the people that are involved in your brand. And one of the things I really emphasize with our clients, for example, is your brand is not just what you portray outside of your company. It really comes back to people that work for you, to the vendors that you communicate. Every time when you hire somebody or you do business with somebody else, you're exuding your brand as well. So make sure that consistent messaging, that story that we just discussed, the 3 questions, once you build that, make sure it's well communicated to all of your vendors, to all of the people that you work and network with. This is the biggest marketing effort you can do for your business and brand. Okay, any questions about charismatic brands? I know I just went through it, blah, 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 blah. I talk very fast. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them or share ideas about this particular aspect of the presentation. Okay, we have something. Richard, I love the ambition. Yes, 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 yes. Focus first on the local and then expand. It's very hard to, if we all want to go global scale at the beginning, it's a little hard, especially when we are starting up our business. I love the energy though. Yeah, signing up to competitor mailing list. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments. I do that all the time.
What do you mean when you make that?
Sorry, Sarah.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
I was asking, when you mentioned like make sure that the message is communicated to all of your like vendors or things like that. What do you mean? Let's see, can you give us an example? Let's see, how would we make sure it's shared and well communicated?
Okay, so for example, I can give you an example what we do with Mirable. There are certain values that we exude. For example, for us, ethics are very high. Like we've been in situations where we are faced with clients that have been unethical, and they've treated vendors that we have introduced to them unfairly. So we usually take a stance for that. We will not do business with people that are unethical or people that mistreat other professionals. And we communicate that very clearly to our vendors. So they know that our brand is now associated with ethics and our values are aligned in protecting them, in a sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but the idea is your brand doesn't exist in isolation only when you're selling. Your type of communications, your demeanor, everything exudes your brand. So I've had clients that, for example, didn't pay their invoices on time, and they'll wait and wait and wait, and 3 months later, 4 months later, I'm trying to navigate between a client and a vendor, and that was not something we would support. So we always fight for our vendors in a sense. So this is part of our brand. We're ethical, we protect our vendors, we try to establish professional relationships. So that exudes in everything we do. It's not just when we communicate with clients. Does that make sense, Sarah? Yes. Okay. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
Yes, thank you.
I do that. Okay. Any other questions?
There is a question, and I think Tarek and Richard sort of answer that also, but Shabana is asking, is it okay to compare yourself to big competitors, or should it just be local competition in the local market?
It really depends. It really depends. What type of business? So let's talk specifics.
Shabana, if you'd like to unmute yourself and let us know, or you can also type in the chat. Mira, I think we can continue for now. When
Okay.
Shabana, oh, she's just messaged. It would be in the fashion industry.
Oh, fashion is a great example because it really depends what kind of fashion are you doing. So if you're comparing yourself to Louis Vuitton, I would say you're missed the mark, unless you really are aspiring to be that. If you're a sustainable, let's say a sustainable fashion brand, and there's some, for example, there's some amazing Canadian brands that are doing a great job, I would compare your brand to that. because if they're indie brands that started similar to you, they're from a local market where you are, I'll totally say compare yourself to that. See what they've done, what kind of messaging are they using, what kind of images are they using to kind of portray their brand. Yeah, totally. Does that answer the question?
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay, great.
Do you want to take another question or do you
Yes,
want to
sure.
continue?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So Fred is asking how to reach out a large scale of customers for a pre-startup brand.
Fred, narrow your focus. That's my answer. Every time when we try to reach a large sample size of the market, you're wasting dollars. Honestly, and Google and Facebook love that. They will eat up your budget in no time, and you will only get vanity metrics, as I call them. Quite a lot of people come to us and they say, oh my God, I had 100,000 impressions and not a single sign up for my newsletter. And yes, this is when you have a very broad outreach. Sorry, I went on a tangent again. Narrow your focus. Don't go large. Identify who your ideal customers are, and again, go back to your competition. See who are they targeting. We're actually going to jump into that, so maybe it's a good way to transition to the next slide, because we're going to talk about great brands from Asian history, and then we're going to talk about archetypes, which is really the shortcut, and I think it will help you. Okay, few words. I'm pretty sure you didn't think of Plato and Aristotle as brands, but I want you to start thinking it like that, because they lived 2,300 years ago and we still use them in media and marketing theories. Shakespeare used them to build the concept of drama. So I don't know if you're familiar, but Plato is extremely famous in the marketing and communications areas with the allegory of the cave, which is really the media, right? Like when we stay in a cave and we see the shadows from the outside world, we build a perception of the world. And you always have to think that it's the same with our customers. It's the same with us. We all kind of function in this silo. So I always encourage people to, especially when they're building their brands, or when you're stuck on, oh my God, my Instagram is not getting enough hits. I can reach the organic reach. Everybody gets thousands of followers a month. I encourage you to look outside of your cave. See what's happening out there, gain a broader perspective of the realities of the market, not just your little silo. Because sometimes as entrepreneurs and working 16, 18 hours a day, and you sleep and you think about your business, we get a little addicted to our own thoughts and our own ideas. So I really encourage you to go out there. Look at Plato and Aristotle. They're still with us, their brands. Same with Shakespeare. Interesting fact about Shakespeare, it's one of the most successful human brands, obviously human, in history of humans. And there's quite a lot of research and controversy, because facts are telling us that possibly Shakespeare was a woman and William was the businessman, because William Shakespeare is the one who bought the theater, who created the brand. He was an incredible businessman, if you ask me. And hence, even though there's research and facts that are suggesting that Shakespeare was a woman, you can shake the brand. So nobody's touching that. Nobody's spreading those controversies and conspiracy theories. The next one that I really love is Star Wars. So interesting fact about George Lucas. George Lucas uses what I'm talking about today, the psychology behind the different characters and archetypes. So the next thing we're going to talk about is archetypes. But think of it as like your customer persona, your brand, and you all have personalities. So George Lucas played on that. He created specific personalities and he created a narrative around it. So it's not a surprise that Disney, which is another charismatic and very successful brand that is aligned with George Lucas's idea and brand, acquired them. So this is just like a little segue to show you how brands evolve through history, but at the same time, they're all the same. We all exhibit the same characteristic and personalities and patterns, and then we can group this to better market. Okay. Left and right brain, obviously we all know about it. When it comes to marketing and business, quite often we position ourselves in the left brain. We talk about profit, we talk about numbers, demographics, we are focused on the math and the logic and the science behind things. And when we're talking about success and creativity and really capturing the engagement of people, we move to the right side, where we are trying to connect with the feelings of people. This is where we employ creative services. That's why we are very careful with our creatives. We need to keep them happy because they need to produce beautiful visuals and aesthetics. Where the success and how charismatic brands really become successful is when you bridge that gap between the left and the right brain. And this is very hard because it's counterintuitive. There's a quote that I really like from Henry Ford, who is another charismatic brand. And he said, if we have asked people what they want, they would have said faster horses. So thank God he didn't ask them, because today we have cars, and the automotive industry has shaped in a way the way we function. But what is interesting about this quote is that it kind of defies logic, right? Everybody tells us we need to listen to our customers. I told you, listen to the customer feedback loop. I also told you that your brand is not what you think it is, it's what the customer thinks. So this is very confusing, and I understand it's confusing. So the shortcut to understanding it, and the way we do work in our agency, is archetypes. So I decided to introduce you to archetypes because I think it will be the fastest way for you, even if you don't have enough market research, or if you're not sure how to approach branding and marketing. As some of you share, that's a challenge. I get it. Like, we're in the 4th year, I'm a branding specialist, and we are rebranding now, and I'm going through the same thing as you are. Like, I have to sit down, I have to write the story, I have to narrow the focus, and archetypes are extremely helpful in that. Archetypes were coined by Carl Jung. I don't know if all of you have heard of him. He started as a student of Freud. He disagreed with Freud and some of the concepts that Freud introduced, and he branched out, and he was absolutely brilliant. So he said that, in short, archetypes embody universal stories and journeys that all of us human beings share. So we see them in mythology, depending on the culture that you're accustomed to. We all have all these myths and heroes and pagan stories. And at the same time, when we start talking to friends, we realize that there's quite a lot of similarities in our characters and myths. So archetypes are also present in the way we manifest our roles in societies and the stories we tell. Great example is Patagonia, and we're going to work with Patagonia today because I aspire to them as a brand, and I think it's a beautiful example that we can all understand. So these two pictures, you pretty much, they should be self-explanatory. The archetype of Patagonia is on the right side of the screen. This dude is pretty much exemplifying the brand. So archetypes are also not to be confused with stereotypes. Stereotypes are a very limiting and, in a sense, derogative aspect of our language and way of thinking, where archetypes inspire us. They're making us better people. They're empowering us. Here we go. I am jumping into them. So there's 12 major archetypes. So I will go through them. I'm hoping everybody can read them, and then hopefully we can actually go into breakout rooms and we can start thinking what kind of archetype is, first of all, your personal brand, and then the extension of your personal brand to your corporate brand or to your business. So they're the caregiver, the citizen, the creator. For example, I'll tell you, I am a creator. So I'm also an artist, as you can see. So the sub-archetypes are, you could be a sub-archetype, or you can be a larger archetype where you embody some of the qualities of the sub-archetype. So for example, I'm an artist. I'm also an entrepreneur, and I tell stories through my work and my art. So as you can see, I fit all the check marks here. Probably when I'm a little older and I have a little more experience in gray hair, I could become a visionary as well. So on the next page, we have the innocent. We have the gesture, we have the lover, the magician, the rebel, and I've put a few brands that I think are perfect examples, and hopefully you can, now that you're seeing the archetype with the brand, the connection is slowly starting to form. And the sage and the sovereign. Before we go into breakout rooms, I think if anybody has any question when it comes to archetypes, it would be good to ask it now. So when we go into the breakout rooms, everybody's kind of on the same page. Do we have any questions about the archetypes and what they mean, or?
Maybe if you can provide a snapshot of all the archetypes, just so we can discuss it in the groups, that'd be great.
Alina, how can we do that? I know we sent the presentation to everybody.
Yeah, I have sent the presentation to everyone, so I would recommend if you can open it at your own computers and have it, or I'll just quickly type it and send it into chat boxes in each of the group. That's another way.
Okay, I'll take a look at my email. Thanks.
All right, perfect. Mira, do you still want the breakout rooms to be for 15 minutes?
So the screen is good, Elena? Okay. The main thing for all of us to remember is that we never sell a customer themselves. We sell an idea of the ideal self, right? We don't sell just products and services to continue offering people to be the exact same way. We always aspire them to be better. They're not just buying SUVs, they're buying this adventurous archetype that embodies the SUV or the phone or whatever technology we use to be better, to grow and be aspired to be better people. I've put this slide here. I highly recommend you using it as you're growing your business. This is a tool I use with all of our clients. If you use the archetype to identify your customers, we call these personas. So the buyer, the customer, they all have an archetype and you can put them in personas. So let's say you're a gym and you offer personal training and you offer just general services. These might appeal to two different people. One could be the classes, for example, where the personal training could be more fitted for busy professionals that don't have time to just come and work out. They need some structure. They need somebody to really push them boundaries. So that would be a persona number one. And then you may have other people that, for example, work from home, or they're in the vicinity, or they don't have such a drive to improve themselves. That will be a different type of persona. In the middle where you see pain, what we over here is what we usually identify as what kind of solution are you providing? What kind of problem are you solving for your customers? So are you solving a problem that's directly related to, let's say, in the sense of the gym? Are you helping them with their mental health? Are you helping them to lose weight? Are you helping them to actually expand their social circles? Like quite a lot of classes or gym environments provides an opportunity to meet people that aspire by the same things. There was quite a lot of questions about social media. So everybody that asks questions to social media, this is a great tool. Just fill in the blanks, think about it, and then the content will start immediately getting out of there. So where you see content 1 and 2, for example, this could be Instagram, LinkedIn, could be YouTube. So once you start identifying your customers, what kind of pains your customers have, how are you solving them through your feature, product or service, then you can form the content. I know it's a lot of words, but I highly recommend you just print this and start writing it down. Eventually, at some point, it starts becoming mechanical. Like you would know this on top of your head, and you wouldn't need any tools. I promise you. And oh, Linda, you have a question.
Yes, Mira, you are so, this conversation is so interesting. Actually, I have two questions. One is regarding the archetypes. One is you mentioned, oh, start with the archetype being like you. I want to understand the clarity of me and the business. I believe whenever I see my business personality is not exactly my personality. This is something I want the clarity from you. And the second thing is about the messages using the table that you just show us in the previous slide. It's fantastic. Exactly that thing. It is fantastic. I am going to do it. The only comment is I don't have a product yet. How can is it still a good thing to say a promise of what the product will be like, even though the product is still in the making? That's my only comment.
Absolutely, you have to start creating buzz. Yes, if you know the parameters of your product, but do you know what product you're gonna have?
Yes, yes, okay. I know what the product will be. However, there is still probably some of the features will be taken away because we want to have with the minimal viable product, and it will be budget also that goes into that. So I don't know exactly how the end will be, but I know the main features.
Okay, so you answered the question. If you have the main features, although the product is also very, you conceive the product. It may not physically be born, but we can already start talking about it. So absolutely create some hype about it. Talk about the features that you're certain. Obviously, don't talk about things and don't make promises you can't fulfill. But the ones that you know, yeah, go ahead. To answer your questions about the archetypes, actually, it's a little unique when we're entrepreneurs. Quite often when we work with clients, the brands are already established and the people that created the brands, they're not there, right? But the way this, actually you're going ahead because that's the next slide that really explains how, as an entrepreneur, how your personal brand will obviously feed it's inevitable your personality and characteristic to be ingrained in your business. But you also have to be cognitive of not diluting that or not being super influential over your brand, because at some point it has to take its own life. But at the beginning stage, I think it's a good opportunity just to come from your own personal brand or archetype. Sorry, Musin has a question as well.
Actually, I have something similar to what just you have answered now. I got a question here that I am actually kind of confused. Like every now and then, I'm getting ideas about different kind of products that I can introduce in the market. But after like a couple of days or the researches that I'm doing, that actually if the Google is answering me right, that if this product is required by the customer, or can I find a customer for this product or not, then it's kind of demotivating for myself that unfortunately Google Analytics, they are saying that it's search results, they are not like good enough for me to even to start working on it. This is the first problem that I'm facing, and the second one is that I'm literally like tied up between different schedules of my job and home, and then I'm looking that if I could start working on my product by my own, being a software developer, or I can like hire someone like a junior and I can assist him, but that is going to cost me. So these are the two hurdles which I'm facing. If you can just give some kind of idea about how I can clarify my mind upon them, that will be highly appreciated. Thank you.
Wow, this is massive. It's very massive. My recommendation is first, don't limit yourself just to Google. If you really like an idea or a product or a service and you feel passionate about it, I don't know if you saw that slide that I talked about: innovate, collaborate, validate. Go beyond the conventional, like look at groups, look at other similar brands, look for information outside of what everybody has access to. This is your investment, this is your sweat equity in your company, right? We quite often also hear, I don't have money or I don't want to invest money. But you have to think, if you don't invest in your company in some respect, people will also not invest in your company by their purchasing decisions. So that's my take on it. I think a little bit of investment and research at the beginning will go a long way for you.
I will just
Thank you.
second that. Sorry, Mohsin, I'm cutting you off. I will second that. In fact, we had a very interesting session on market research and validation as well. So, Mohsin, I will share the recording for that with you. And to add on, we can also do an idea consultation and help you further develop. You said that you look at one product and then you move to another, so we can help you sort of narrow down your scope and really see what it is that you're trying to solve. So yeah, I'm just going to send you a message with the recording and the idea consultation.
Thanks a lot. That will be highly appreciated.
That's awesome. I love all the questions, guys. I was so afraid you're not gonna ask questions, and I'm like, oh my god. Okay, so this slide, again, a lot of information, but sit with it. I know we are running almost out of time, but the idea is I just illustrated for you how an actual integrated company brand works. It starts with the personal brand. It will transition into the business culture and communication strategies. You will conceive that brand conception. This is where the creatives and the marketing companies come usually and start helping at that point, because we create that creative flow, the images, the aesthetics. We start shaping the form and look of your brand. And I also put a lot of emphasis on mission and values. I know a lot of people hate them. Quite a lot of companies just put them there for keywords, but believe it or not, they will be your best friends. Once you start crafting your story with the 3 questions I gave you, the mission and values should come very naturally from that. They will be the easiest elevator pitch for you when it comes to building that trust with your customers. So I highly encourage you to actually spend some time with them. Last but not least, the way companies do branding and marketing nowadays. And I wanted to give you that perspective because I know it might be overwhelming. There's so many companies out there. There are a lot of specialists. There's a lot of classes. It's an abundance of information highway. So there's 3 ways. There's the traditional ad agency. The model works. I've worked for one, and I have to say it's probably the best structure I've ever seen. The ad agency had it right because they have the creatives, they have the account executives, they have production teams, but they're extremely costly. Like doing a brand strategy with an ad agency, usually the minimum will be $25,000 because they really spend the time, the research. It's a whole production team that you get. One of the most common ways of doing marketing and branding is the second way, which is what, for example, we do. You have a fractional marketing executive that could either manage a team of vendors, or they bring a team of vendors for your specific project, which is a hybrid model. And last but not least is when you do it internally. Large companies can afford that. They hire designers, they hire researchers, marketers, social media and digital specialists. My advice to you is be creative. There's quite a lot of internship opportunities. There's a lot of talented students out there that are looking for experience that could be amazing brand ambassadors. So the same way you have to be innovative and creative about your brands, think of way how you can expand and grow your brand with unconventional resources. Yspace is a great example. They have an abundance of resources and information, so use it while you're still part of the program. And here I'm going to put my email and contact information. Obviously, I cannot build marketing strategies for everybody or answer all of the questions, but if it's a specific question and it's related to something that we discussed today, I'm more than happy to provide you feedback and insights. And I think that's it.
Great. Thank you so much, Mira. That was beyond amazing. Really, really enjoyed the session. I'm sure all the attendees found it extremely beneficial as well.